Thank you so much, Hillel. It's an honor to be here at the inaugural Cardiff by the Sea Salon. Hillel has asked me to talk to you a little bit about my musical life and my salon. And so, in a nutshell, here we go, interspersed with some musical selections that I hope you'll enjoy. The story is told in solidarity with Hillel's mission. Throughout my life, I've been called to bring people together around music, similarly, to create more peace, inclusion, awareness, connection, and beauty in the world. I grew up with music. I started piano at 5 years old. My parents played music in the living room, and I joined them. Growing up with music in the home was a seminal experience for me. By adolescence, I was taking pop songs off the radio and arranging them for chamber orchestra so my friends could play. As a teen, I started to write my own music. I didn't call it composing. Why? I didn't know women could write music. We learned about Bach, Beethoven, and the boys in school. And so I called it making things. From Boston University, I transferred to Muhlenberg College to follow a female mentor, Margaret Garwood, who is paving the way for young women like me to learn how to compose and to have the confidence to compose. And it was there that she became my mentor for 40 years. She instilled in me the importance of listening to my own voice. Shortly after transferring to Muhlenberg College, I met Hillel. We shared the same freshman dorm. I met Hillel playing music in the quad. He was playing guitar and harmonica, and we formed a band together called Prana, or Life Force. And along with violinist Mark Golan, we performed in the basement of a venue called the Night Owl, and Hillel brought in all the equipment. And we were pretty good, right? Yeah. I went on to get my master's in piano. I was composing and concertizing, and I started a salon, as Hillel said, now celebrating 39 years. What is a salon, and why start one? Salons are gatherings in the home. They can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome. With the banquet and the symposium, hosts would invite guests over for intellectual discourse and debate, and lots of drinking. In the 17th and 18th centuries in Italy and France, these literary salons flourished, and they became known by the room in which they were held. The alcove, the réduit, the ruelle, the cabinet, and the salon was the parlor. In the 19th century, these salons came to include more musicians and artists. Composers wrote pieces especially for the salons. In fact, famous composer Frédéric Chopin, he loved the salons. In fact, he preferred the intimacy of the house concert to the formal concert halls. And he performed in a circuit of salons, about 30, around Paris. In 1827, he wrote a beautiful nocturne in E minor, and that piece was most likely premiered at a house concert in Paris. I'd like to play a little bit of it for you to try to tie you back to the 19th century origins of the music salon. I'd love to play the whole thing for you, but it ends in the major, which gives us such a sense of hope, right, from E minor to E major. So I started my salon influenced by the early 20th century salons, especially the one of Gertrude Stein, the famous writer who started her salon in 1910 on the Rue de Fleurs in Paris. She invited musicians and artists and theologians and writers and great thinkers. And at that time, the whole of Paris was bubbling up with interdisciplinary collaboration. Picasso, Diaghilev, and Stravinsky all collaborating. I was 26 and so excited to learn about all of that. I wanted to create a salon with a contemporary spin and that would incorporate all the kinds of music that I loved. Classical, jazz, world music, folk music, electronic music, multimedia. And so I started my salon, 10 ensembles, 10 minutes, and once a month, September through May, and it has remained the same through all these years. Over 19,000 audience members and 9,000 performers coming through my living room. Oh, thank you. The diverse programming offered a chance for a cross-pollination of audience, and a beautiful community has been formed. When I had to stop for the first time in 33 years due to the pandemic in March 2020, with the help of two technologists, Adam Vidixis and Gerardo Rizomni, we took the entire series online and called it a Salon, a Zoom Salon. By April 2020, they were performing from around the world, streaming in and streaming out. It was an incredible sense of connection. And so in 2021, the salon became a hybrid. It was really, something happened that was so important to me, and I want to share this story because it really connects around why music brings us together and how it motivates us to do good things, to make miracles happen. So in 1986, when I started my salon, and I just learned that was when Encinitas was formed. It's so nice how these connections happen. I went for 3 years until we couldn't fit anymore in my little apartment. I was breaking down walls with the landlord's permission, and then when the only seat left was the bathtub, I realized I had to look for another space. I found this incredible space just around the corner, a house with soaring ceilings, 25 feet high on the 3rd floor, and 2 balconies that looked like a set from La Boheme, and I became obsessed with it. I followed every owner and tenant until I got in there as a renter in 2003. The salon had a renaissance. I could then have choirs and swing bands and Indonesian dance groups and using the space in unusual ways. But in 2014, the building went up for sale. The owner wanted to sell it for $1 million. By that time, I was a full-time composer, and I thought the salon was over. To my great amazement, emails went flying around Philadelphia saying, "Save the salon," and people started sending in cash without even tax deductions from around the country to a friend of mine in real estate who put it in escrow. 12 people invested in the building, formed an LLC, and we were able to purchase the house. So I tell this story because I'm so grateful, and it took a village, and this is the power of music that brings us all together. And paying it forward, I help others start their own salons in museums and historic venues and homes around the country. And it was such a great delight when Hillel contacted me and said, "Could you help guide me? I really want to start one." The other story that I want to tell you before I finish is one of the most important moments in my life, and it's also connected to the power of music. As a full-time composer, I work on commission, and these commissions can take me to far reaches of my imagination. I write pieces on gender and identity, sustainable environment, Jewish mysticism, ancient cultures, health and healing, and also different kinds of concertos. But I had no way of knowing that a commission would take me to the top of the world. And so in 2009, I was commissioned by Network for New Music, which is Philadelphia's new music chamber ensemble, and they had an idea for a season called Mix, where composers were paired with visual artists. And I was paired with an artist, Maureen Durdak, who got her inspiration from Tibetan Buddhist iconography. She was going on a trek to a remote area of the Himalayas, and she said, "Why don't you come with me, and from the shared experience, we will create something for a network for new music." I remember going home, and I don't know if you've had this experience, saying, "Self, are you ready for your life to change?" And I got a big yes. So several flights, and we got our horses, and then over 10 mountain passes through the Himalayas. On 5 days, we ended up in Lomantung, which is near Tibet, but in northern Nepal, and it's one of the last remaining enclaves of old Tibetan culture in the world. There I was encouraged to record the music of Tashi Tsering, the last court singer, who knew the stories of the people and their villages and the migration and the festivals. And he was old and he had no heirs to learn his music. And so they said, "Please record him." So with his permission, I recorded him, and he said, "You can use my music in your own music." And I went back and created Lungta with Maureen. It was presented as a gift to the Dalai Lama as an initiative for world peace, and it incorporated some of Tashi Tsering's songs and fragments. To my great surprise, I was invited back up to the same village in 2010 to complete the recording of Tashi Tsering. We had money to pay the musicians, but not for the horses, so walking up those 10 mountain passes with a young anthropologist, Katie Blumenthal. When we got there, Tashi Tsering greeted us warmly in this little village, and she said, "Why don't you play him some of the music that was inspired by his songs?" I felt such trepidation. I thought, what is he going to think of this modern music? It was a moment, because with a translator, and we had the iPod on, and he listened to the central part of the piece called Compassion. He listened, and he said, "This is where your world and my world meet." And for me, it makes me cry even now. I cried then, I cry now, because it's a confirmation of the power of music to bring us together globally. And I'll finish with just saying that Hillel and I were having breakfast this morning and remembering how we were both on an archaeological dig in Israel. As young college students, we both had a scholarship to dig in Akko. And in the evenings, we would sit around the campfire and play folk music with the Jews and the Arabs, and it was so peaceful and so beautiful. And so I know this is close to your heart, and it's close to my heart. So I would like to finish with a piece that I wrote that's inspired by Tashi Tsering. I wrote a number of pieces, an opera, and this is a short excerpt from a piece on rites of passage that was scored for chorus and 2 different choirs, adults and youth, and chamber orchestra. I'm not a singer, but I'm going to sing for you a little bit. And I offer this piece, Tsegola, at the threshold of this life, as a prayer for this salon to continue on and thrive and grow in the spirit in which it was created, to create more peace and beauty in this world. We've lost the sustain on the pedal. That's okay. We'll make it Thank you very much. Thank you, Hillel.